So in today's video, we're going to talk about the future of the new DC universe, which starts after Shazam 2, The Flash, and Aquaman 2, making any movie coming out with DC, including Blue Beetle, redundant. So the new DCU doesn't even start until the Superman movie comes out in 2025. So it's very interesting when people talk about the future of the DCU, and The Flash is going to start everything over again, but it's not. It's not even close can do that. And the problem is James Gunn. Now, please listen to what I'm saying before you say I'm a James Gunn hater. We're going to break it down. So, yo, what is freaking good YouTube? What's you here if you're new around here? Make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, pop culture-based content that I produce. I'm always transparent and honest with what I think. I'm never going to sugarcoat anything. If you could, check us out on Instagram at WarStew to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Check us out on Twitter, WarStewG. Right, let's get into it. So, I know what you're going to say. Yo, WarStew's just a Snyder bro. Is he though? No, it's not even close to a Snyder bro. I literally praised the Suicide Squad. Just check us out on Instagram at WarStew. I praised the Suicide Squad movie quite heavily. I also praised Peacemaker. Sure, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was pretty bad, but Volume 1 was good. It was pretty good. The Christmas special, not so much. So James Gunn as a director, I cannot fault him as a director. And, you know, he kind of works on his scripts. I cannot fault that. But the problem here is James Gunn is in charge of the studio. He needs to act accordingly. He needs to start acting like a studio head and get out of this director mindset that he seems to have. And I think it's a fair comment to call it the Gunverse. Why? Because based on most recent comments made by industry insiders, which have the most validity and the most credibility, it seems like there's a lot of bias towards what is going to make it from the DC universe over to the DCU. It seems like everything that Gunn did is going to follow through. So he is thinking like a director and not thinking as a studio head. I get it. David Zaslav has a mandate and tells him what he wants. Whether you like to believe that or not, that is the case because Superman is at the forefront because of Zaslav. And I get it, Pete Safran, but he's more of a producer. He's a very nice guy. I've had a conversation with him in real life. He's a cool guy. He knows his stuff and he's passionate about DC, which is cool. I'm not doubting whether these two could actually do a good job. But the problem is, James Gunn, he's acting like a director. And I want to be as positive as I can be. And sure, I will get behind the DCEU when there's something to get behind. Because until they actually drop the first trailer for Superman and Batman, Brave and the Bold, there realistically isn't anything to talk about, realistically. Sure, I get it. There's allegedly up to 20 projects in DC's new Chapter 1, The Gods and Monsters. But from what you revealed, people only really care about the Superman project and the Batman project. You haven't really said a lot. So, it's getting more interesting. So, Daniel RPK, I've been in the game a few years now, and I know who to trust when it comes to insiders. Daniel RPK is one of the most credible insiders there is. So he had this to say. So let me see if I got this right. No DCEU movie is canon to the DCU except the Suicide Squad. Some parts from the first Suicide Squad movie that connect to the Suicide Squad are also canon, but the rest isn't. Peacemaker's show is mostly canon, except for the Justice League cameo at the end. So, let me get this straight. We have loads of people getting behind everything, and he's favoritism in nepotism, if you like, the parts that he likes, which are only his parts. I mean, Superman, Batman, the DCU had some pretty strong movies, let's be fair. And if you take it from a box office point of view, James Gunn, the Suicide Squad movie is one of, if not the weakest DC movie that has come out in recent time. The original Suicide Squad movie, the David Ayer version, which we haven't actually seen, but the theatrical release absolutely decimated James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I know what you're going to say. It came out in a weird time. No, it didn't, because Godzilla vs. Kong came out HBO Max, day and day release. It still got just under $500 million. So it is interesting how nothing is going to be canon except for the Suicide Squad, Summer Peacemaker, and maybe Blue Beetle. But Blue Beetle hasn't been revealed anywhere. It did have ties to DCEU. There was a reference to Superman, but obviously they've taken this out. And it's just a very weird place to be in. And then we have Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods. So, Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, is in it in a huge way in the third act, and they're officially marketing her to be in the movie now because the studio heads of DC kind of seem clueless because they dropped the ball before this movie comes out, so no one cares. So, Shazam 2, I think it looks pretty good. The plot is average, but delivery seems to be there based on trailers. And first reactions, they're just for clicks and they're just for reactions on buses and quotes on posters, etc. So they're marketing Gal Gadot Wonder Woman to be in it now because it's got the lowest tracking ever in a DC movie. Under $50 million. Are you joking? Like, that is so bad. I really want DC to have a really cool future, but I think the problem is we have a director. We don't have the head of the studio. James Gunn is a director. He is not acting accordingly. He's not acting like a studio head. And I can see this video getting a lot of negative comments, which is good because I really want to know what you actually think. Now, at the other side of the spectrum, we have people that dislike, because I see this on Twitter, we have a lot of people that dislike the Suicide Squad movie and they dislike Peacemaker and Guardians, but for some reason now he's in charge of DC. He is the greatest person ever. He's going to be the first person to get a critically acclaimed Superman movie. But why is he directing it? Why is he writing the script? He should be like an EP, like oversee everything. Sure, you have a 10-year plan. Cool story, bro. But you don't have to write everything. You don't have to direct everything. It's looking like James Gunn is going to be directing Superman Legacy, potentially. There's a lot of issues here. So rather than doing a full-scale reboot, you're just keeping the characters that you like. That is not how a studio head should act. That's a director going, yo, I directed Peacemaker. I directed the Suicide Squad, so I'm going to keep my characters canon and build a new universe around that. So we know they don't actually have a 10-year plan. That is very far-fetched. They probably don't even have a 5-year plan. Sure, they can have an endgame plan, for sure. And to come out and say stuff like, yeah, our plan is much better than Marvel Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3, because Marvel were just releasing solo movies. They weren't intending to build a huge cinematic universe. Marvel and Disney nearly went bankrupt when they released Iron Man 1. It's interesting how little factual information people actually know. So then Daniel RPK went on and said this: how is it not? We know the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker are canon because of the Amanda Waller show. We know Leto is obviously not the Joker in the DCU. So parts of the first Suicide Squad are raised. We know they're rebooting the Batman, meaning Batfleck, and Superman, meaning Henry Cavill's Superman. So Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League are not canon. The other heroes are likely gone too. Yeah, I definitely agree with this. Why can't Warner Bros. Discovery or the DC studio just come up and be like, yo, yeah, Gal Gadot is still Wonder Woman, but they won't say that. Even though there's a Funko Pop for her for Flash, so she's clearly in the Flash as well. So he went one step further, and this really has made people start to think that maybe Gunn doesn't actually have a plan at all. So he went on to say this, and I find this actually hilarious. So The Flash is a setup movie that allows James Gunn to shift focus from the DCEU to a new universe. But since he's likely not keeping Ezra, The Flash is not really canon to the DCEU. So there is literally, from a canon point of view, and I get it, not everything has to be connected. I get it, it works. The Batman, Robert Pattinson, not connected to anything else. Joaquin Phoenix Joker, not connected to anything else. But we've only had one movie from them independent kind of Elseworld universes, so we don't know if that actually works. So what this tweet here is saying is, no movie this year means absolutely end. And he said, to be clear, when I say canon, I mean it's set in the new DCEU, meaning the new universe. I know they're all technically canon in the multiverse. The Flash is literally not set in the DCU. Even the end is no longer set in the DCU, but another universe. So what are they freaking doing? I get it. James Gunn had nothing to do with the Flash, except for changing a bunch of stuff and maybe adding a pointless cameo from George Clooney, maybe adding some few things here and actually taking out a lot of the good parts. So they had a potential opportunity to bring all the bits that people like from the DC universe at the moment, because the DCEU is the DC universe. It's not really much different. It's called, I get it, you call it DCEU, but it's the same thing. So there was a Superman people loved, but he decides to bring, I mean, don't get me wrong, John Cena, I really like John Cena. He's a cool actor. I like Peacemaker. He should have played Shazam though. So the fans love Henry Cavill Superman. They love Batfleck, they love Gal, Wonder Woman, but it appears because he's very kind of, doesn't really say much, comes out with this ridiculous plan that doesn't really say much. Nobody cares for creature comforts, to be honest. So you've picked parts that only you like. Like I said, I like the Suicide Squad movie. I like Peacemaker series. It was decent, but there's a lot of parts that people like, but you're just rebooting everything that wasn't directed from you. So when I keep saying he's a director, he's not a studio head, because he's not thinking like a studio head. In order for this universe to be successful, we need someone like Kevin Feige, be an EP. You can send notes, you can have notes, you can have input. But does he really need to be so involved with absolutely everything? And I get what people are saying. He's the greatest Superman fan ever. He's the biggest Superman fan ever. What's that got to do with anything? That's got nothing to do with it. That does not make a difference to me. Wow, James Gunn is a huge comic book reader. Okay, but that doesn't mean anything. That does not mean he's going to be a good studio head because he's a huge comic book reader. I get it. He keeps posting stuff. He's got a Superman cut. Lads, he's got a Superman cut. That means his Superman movie is going to be the greatest. His banner on Twitter, Superman. That means the Superman movie is going to be so great. He's rewatching Superman 2. That means his Superman is going to be great. I still think this new DC, at the moment, we can't judge it properly, but focusing on animation, live action. It's not that hard. Make a good Superman movie. Make a good Batman movie. Stop making it about... I just feel like James Gunn makes this about himself. It's like, yeah, I mean, Amanda Waller, I mean, she's literally in the scene with Black Adam and Superman. Have her come through, which is really, really disrespecting the DC fans. So you're not going to have Henry Cavill Superman come through. But Amanda Waller, who's in the same scene, yeah, she's going to exist. Because you're making a show about her, which realistically no one cares for. So when I say no one cares, it's like, because no one actually cares. And this video will probably get a lot of interesting comments, which I'm really looking forward to. And like I said, I will support DC. I've always supported DC. But the new vision realistically has no credibility at the moment because it's all over the place. It really is. And from a kind of head of the studio point of view, you're saying The Flash is the greatest comic book movie ever, and Shazam was good. It made you laugh. It was a good movie. I mean, there's so much bias going on here. It's interesting. And then Shazam 2's got 2 post-credit scenes that are going to set up the future of Shazam. But is there a future of Shazam? We don't know. But Pete Safran worked on Shazam 2, so maybe the bias works there, so Zachary Levi is safe. We don't know. The problem is people keep telling me how great James Gunn is going to be because he's a great director and he's great at writing scripts. But what's that got to do with being a studio head? Yeah, it might work for Superman movie, but he can't be crazily involved in every single project. He needs to be a studio head, overlook everything, not be writing everything, not be directing everything. I mean, it's interesting, and I know the take on this will be even more interesting. So let me know, guys. Has James Gunn made a huge mistake? I think he has. He should have just rebooted everything. The second he said Henry Cavill's not my Superman, you should have rebooted absolutely everything. Recasted the whole of the Suicide Squad. Recast absolutely everyone. So then you're starting the slate empty, but you're not. It's like 20% full with your characters, but the rest who are beloved are getting kicked out. And yeah, I read the comments. A lot of people are like, let it go, let it. I mean, there's nothing for me to let go, to be honest. I mean, I just think it's a shame that we're never actually going to see Henry Cavill Superman ever again, or Ben Affleck. He could have continued. I mean, I think the roster, minus Ezra Miller, were pretty much solid. They had a very good Justice League. It just needed a little bit better direction. And James Gunn maybe could have directed a good Justice League movie with the current roster, but we ain't ever going to know now, are we? Because he's just changing things that he doesn't like for the authority and keeps retweeting stuff like, oh, the world's finest. So what are they going to do? Announce a Superman and Batman movie, the world's finest, and everyone's going to think it's going to bang. Well, we don't know because literally nothing has been said. So I'm not sure what the title of this video is going to be. But this is my biggest problem with the DCU universe's future is I think James Gunn could be the problem, but he might not be the problem. I want to be excited about it, but you announce a bunch of movies and TV series that no one cares for, and it's like, yeah, there's a Superman movie coming out. It's not quite an origin, but it really is an origin, but it's not a young Superman, but it is, and the Batman Brave and Bold, which is really about Damian Wayne, but we have to throw Batman in there to sell it. It's like, just say what you're going to do properly, and there's so much back and forth. No, there's not a casting call out for Superman. Clearly there is. Clearly there is a casting call out because you're going to have to start shooting it soon. Like over 6 months, been working on the script before you announced that you were head of the studio. I get it. I know people in the industry. I know how long it takes to make a movie script. Shouldn't take you this long. I mean, seriously, if this is your main focus, it should not be taking you this long. Oh my God, I can't wait for comments on this video. So like always, guys, I'm not hating on James Gunn. I'm just questioning what is up because something does not add up here. Just stop acting like a director. start acting like a studio head. Go see Kevin Feige and Kevin Feige was your mentor, or that's what people are led to believe. So this channel's very different. Like, I will speak my opinion on stuff because a lot of people seem to think I hate James Gunn. I don't dislike James Gunn. I just don't think there's much of a plan at the moment yet because we haven't seen anything. And you want people to get hyped about creature comforts and stuff and the Amanda Waller show when people are irritated by that character personally. I don't know. It's just interesting. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at WarStew. Check us on Twitter. WarStewG, and let me know down below. And no, this is not a hate video, nothing like that. I just want to express where I'm at when it comes to the DC universe, because how can we get hyped for stuff? It's like even the Flash movie, who people thought connected to the new universe, doesn't connect to anything, really. It's just a random movie, realistically. It's got a bunch of cameos, extended cameos in it. I don't know. I just wanted to put a video out of this. I want to be excited for the new universe, but how can we be when we've got to wait till the middle of 2025 before we even see anything? So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at WarStew to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful face. Check us out on Twitter, WarStewG. I know I'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.